Hey, this is Mark. I'm a chef living in Paris. Unfortunately, we just got stuck under another lockdown. I think I got the last haircut left. On the bright side, spring is finally coming to Paris. We're gonna be taking advantage of that today with a nice mushroom risotto. We got all kinds of fresh produce, some spring onions, some peas. This is a great recipe. It's vegetarian, gluten-free, so let's give it a try. We've got our beautiful spring bounty here. A few things before we get started. This morning, I found these oyster mushrooms. I didn't include this in the recipe. I think it's important to remember in cooking that it's not an exact science and that you can always use whatever's on hand or what looks really good in the supermarket. We've also got our arborio rice here. This is the kind of rice you use in a risotto. It's got the right starch content to give you that nice creamy texture. Also, I use creme fraiche. It's super easy to find in France, but you might struggle to find it elsewhere. You can either make it at home, it's super easy actually, or you can substitute with heavy cream. Let's get started. Let's get everything prepped up here. We'll take our spring onions, cut those in half. I'm gonna use these for garnish, and then I'll saute these. Move on to the shallot, and then the garlic. We're gonna start off with these spring onions here. Take a couple of those at a time. Slice off the top part there. Cut them in half. And then just slice these across. Gonna get a thin slice on these shallots. Mince the garlic. Feels wrong to destroy this. The bottom part of these oyster mushrooms is really hard, so I'm just gonna get rid of that. We're shooting for small, bite-sized pieces. Last up, we're gonna get a thin slice on these button mushrooms. This is for the garnish later. And now we're ready to get cooking. I only have 2 burners in this kitchen. I need them both for the risotto, so we're gonna start by cooking the mushrooms and the peas. So, I have a pot of boiling water here. I'm gonna put the peas in, and then I'm gonna put the onions. These are starting to stick to the bottom, so I'm gonna add some water so they don't burn. Gonna add the garlic now. These onions are getting translucent now, so we're ready to add the mushrooms. I added these oyster mushrooms first. I'll let those shrink down and then I'll add the other mushrooms. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt now. Okay, these are ready. Now I'm gonna add these to the pot. I'm gonna add some more water. Now I'm gonna add some butter. Peas are done, so we're gonna add that to the mushrooms now. That's good here, so we can set this aside and move on to the risotto. Whenever you're making a risotto, you start off by setting aside a pot of vegetable stock or chicken stock or whatever you're using. So I've got this vegetable stock here coming to a boil, so now we can get started. I'm gonna start off by sauteing these shallots. Now I'm going to add some white wine. A little for the risotto. And a little for me. Now we're gonna wait until a lot of this liquid boils out. Let's turn that vegetable stock down just a little bit. So this is that consistency we're looking for. All of that liquid has boiled out, and now we have a nice syrupy mixture here. Okay, so that base is finished. I'm gonna go ahead and add the rice now. Now I'm going to add a ladle full of the stock to the rice. Maybe 2. Risotto is a little bit high maintenance. Essentially what you're doing is waiting for all of that liquid to boil out, and then gradually you add more and more stock as needed. We're stirring this regularly to make sure it doesn't stick to the bottom of the pan and burn. This is really a dish that you want to babysit. You can see here is the point when you're ready to add more liquid. You'll notice that the stock runs out pretty quickly. You can also use wine and water to add to the risotto. We're getting pretty close here. You can tell that this rice is thickening up, getting nice and creamy. I am gonna add some salt and then a little bit of butter. Just a little bit. All right, so we're getting close now. I'm gonna add the cream. And now I'm going to add the Parmesan. Okay, so it looks like we're getting really close here. Let's just give that one more taste. Yeah. I'm just gonna add a little bit more Parmesan and then I think we'll be done. Yeah, this is looking really good. I think it's time to start plating. Okay, I know that was a lot of work, but you're definitely gonna find that that was worth it. So let's get started on plating that. Here we go. I'm gonna add a few cranks of black pepper now. Now I'm gonna add those vegetables from before. Finish it off with some fleur de sel. And then the greens from the spring onions. One last finishing touch, I'm gonna add some pecorino cheese. And we're all done. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this, you can like or subscribe, leave a comment if there's anything you want to see, and I'll see you next week.